Welcome back to the channel. Here's a shot of our hybrid build that we're doing, but today's mission is to get back to the Yamaha engine for Devin Jensen. Mario, what are we up to?
So I have the engine cleaned. We're going to be reassembling the bottom end and putting the right side together where like the clutch and all that stuff is. So first thing I need to do is I'm going to grab the transmission. We have to replace a couple gears in it.
Are these new bearings?
They're not new bearings. This engine, we're essentially just getting the thing back and up and rolling. He's got 2 races left, and then everything is coming back apart again. So
right,
some stuff that we're going to be reusing.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that in part 1 of this build series. Devin is an ATV motocross racer. He's just hoping to get a couple more rounds of racing on the motor before he really dives in, and he's going to do what, piston rings at that time?
Yeah,
a couple other parts probably
going to rebuild the crankshaft.
If they missed part 1, what was the original problem you found?
So the original problem was that the shift forks, the left and the right shift fork, were both bent and wore like big groove into it.
And you have those with you? Can you show us?
Yeah. So the one on the right is the one that was a problem. It's bent and it was rubbing in the gear. By doing so, it wasn't meshing the gears correctly, and it took out 2 of the gears. So that's what we're going to be replacing right here. Now, a lot of times you have to remove all the gears off of the shaft, depending on what you're trying to do. But anytime you remove a circlip, you should replace it. You do not want, they need to go in a certain way, and you don't want to have a fatigued one in there.
I usually have to replace them because I lose it.
You can see that that gear is rounded off in the dog. So that's one that's getting replaced. And then the very inside one, sliding everything to the left. Action.
All right, explain to us why you're wearing a different outfit, because you ordered the wrong part? Or
no, I'm a magician.
You didn't have the right part ordered at the time. You didn't realize it was worn out?
I screwed up. That's okay. Pretty much.
That's the end of the story.
That's the end of the story.
All right, so we're fast forwarding a few days here from when we shot the beginning of this video to where we're picking up right now.
Yep. So we're going to get started here. I was pulling this transmission apart this last time here and figured out that I missed the damage on the teeth of the dogs.
Yeah, you can see it's rounded out. And in that same area there, hold the new gear up in comparison. I'll film them side by side. Yeah, so let me see if I can zoom in there. Yeah, you're rounded on some edges.
You know, and the thing is like a lot of people pull these apart and you see that rounded and you just, wow, it'll be
yeah, here we
right.
go. Let's try to point for the audience here. Right there. And in comparison, it should be just a straight 90 degree.
Yeah, it should be 90 degrees. You know, what happens here is if that's not engaging, it's just going to pop out. It's hard to see, but you can actually see where the dog intersects into that gear. The mark is like about 1/2 to 3/4 of the way in the dog. So the contact patch isn't very big. So being that the shift fork was bent, it wasn't allowing that to fully seat in.
And in return caused wear on this part.
Right. You know, and we were, you know, I was looking at it and speculating, I don't know, maybe we can use it because the engine's going to come right back apart. But that's not the right thing to do. Even though this thing's going to come back apart and we're using a used piston and stuff like that right now, this could be catastrophic for the rider and it could break more things. So
true. And unfortunately, it was right in that gear ratio where it was very commonly used.
5th and 3rd.
Right. So 3rd is really commonly used. 5th on some of those faster tracks. But 1st would have been helpful because you could probably shift right over it and save it until the next build.
Yeah.
This one being 3rd and 5th combination kind of had to be taken care of.
Yeah. So we're we got the parts. Fortunately, I was able to find them. I was able to get like a 2-day shipping, and you know, here we are. I'm just going to pull this apart.
While Mario's messing with this clip, I want to let everybody know we are quickly approaching our 1,000 subscriber goal. Thank you for watching, and in a thank you attempt, we're going to give away a shock service courtesy of Mario here to a lucky snowmobile or ATV rider. We are obviously going to limit entries, preferably a new machine. Don't bring us your 1984 Blizzard.
Yeah.
And ATVs, we're looking for sport quads only, as some shocks on utilities are not rebuildable. So we are going to be doing a giveaway. Stay tuned for those details in an upcoming video.
Now we're going to start reinstalling the gear set using new circlips. You always want to use new circlips. There's also, we've discussed this on the teardown, but there's a right and a wrong way installing a circlip. One side's rounded and one side's flat. Okay. Washer. Clips like this are stamped, and that's why one side's flat and one side's rounded. They're, unless the company has machined the clip on both sides, or surfaced it, but generally speaking, they're stamped, especially in a circumstance like this. I want to make sure that clip is in there, which it is. Everything moves free. Now, on to the next one. Oh, there we are. Okay, those off to the side. Washer. More assembly lube. Onto that gear. Get that out of the way.
Another washer, yeah. So you stack a washer around, what was that, fourth?
This is third gear. When fifth, you know, when this next gear that I'm going to put in meshes with this, turns that into third.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how I missed those 2 gears, but when this came apart, I pulled all the gears off of the shafts and put them on V-blocks with a dial indicator and did a run out on them and make sure they weren't bent. So both were good. And that's the reason why, even though this is assembled and there's no damage to any gears, I still pulled it apart, so I want to replace the clips. So this we're gonna pop apart so we can replace these snap rings. These things can be a pain, but really you want them to be a pain because you do not want them to pop out of their groove. Over here, might as well just lube it up. Lube it up. We have both these transmission sets ready to be installed. So now we're going to put some assembly lube in all these bearings. I already cleaned and flushed these out and then applied WD-40 so they wouldn't flash rust while they were sitting before assembly.
You put your hand right in the way. What are you doing?
Well, what do you want from me? All right, we have that. Next thing I want to do is install the crankshaft.
So is that first with most bottom ends? Get that crank in?
No, I mean, you can do.
The gears could go in if you had to?
Yeah. I know, I just always put this first. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna install this counter shaft.
And while you're handing out updates, give us one on the Honda. Here we are, beginning of October. It's a Wednesday night. When do you expect we'll get back to filming this project?
Hopefully very soon. I would like within the next week or something, but very soon. We're gonna spindles, hubs, tie rod ends, steering post, wheel hubs, bleed the front brakes, tires, possibly Nerf bars.
Don't give away the entire show.
Well,
they got to stick around for that video.
And we're gonna get it running.
Yeah, we got to get it running too. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be part 3 of that build. This is part 2 of this build. You're going to stop after the bottom end's complete today?
Yeah, we're going to get everything situated. We're going to assemble this, and we're going to do most of the right-hand side. We don't have a clutch to install in it. I mean, we have a basket in our hub, but we're missing the clutch plates. And then we're going to come back and assemble all the top.
What do you do, get new ones? They just haven't come in?
Yeah. I'm going to put that counterbalancer in, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to install the center shift fork. These are actually labeled on most machines with an L and an R. For the longest time, I didn't know that. They didn't really explain it very well in the earlier service manuals. But L, you would put in first. So this essentially is the left side inner case. So you'd put the left side first. If you were starting with the right side case, then you would do the right side.
Sure.
I'm not putting the shafts in yet because I want to put the shift drum. These shift drums can really only go in one way. It's not like you can have it like 180 out or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes rotating in order to get the gear and the dog to slide up. So it'll allow the shift fork. There we go. Now that's into place. That's in place. There's supposed to be a spring on each side of this shaft. Like this one had springs. I popped that one out. I have it in a baggie. That can go in though once the case is installed. Okay. Just run it through here. One thing I'm not highly critical of it now, but I wanted to make sure that it did shift. But once we put the center cases together, that's like one of the first things I like to do is go right for the shift star and assemble that and make sure it goes in all the gears and goes into neutral before you start putting a ton of stuff together.
Right.
We're gonna put the balance shaft in. I have this labeled stator with an arrow, meaning that it has to go down. These diameters are the same, and so you could put it upside down, and that would be a big pain when you get further along. So there's a flat spot in this shaft, which is so it gives you clearance to get past the crankshaft. There's no dots or marks of any kind at this point to line up. Once the right side case is installed, then the gears that go together, that's where you'll be lining things up. Continue with the assembly lube. Another thing I want to do here, this is some break-in, regular 1030 break-in oil. Just put some down inside of that. So when we're going to put the center case on, when we get to the right side cover on, I'll probably explain this again. There's a seal in that cover, but that goes around here. That's what pressurizes oil to come up through the crankshaft to lubricate that low end bearing.
Sitting over that. Oh, and you can actually see it's got a tapered
end to it.
Yeah.
And that is critical that seal is in good shape, because obviously if it's not and it lets oil bypass go in the crankshaft, that's what takes the crank out. I'm going to clean this case up a little bit, and then we're going to clean the other case because we're getting ready to put the Yama bond on there. It's a gray sealer.
And then you're going to mate them.
You are a sick, twisted individual.
You're going to mate the cases in hope that they make a little
horsepower.
Oh, I like that.
Some assembly lube in the gear or in the bearings, and then we're going to lay out the Yama bond. I'm going to do a nice thin bead here. You do not want to go too crazy. The surfaces are machine flat, so this is just essentially the, you know, they would almost not leak really, but you need something there between them. I don't know why certain manufacturers, though, do this. Like Honda uses gaskets, and then so many other ones just do this. We're all lubed up. Coverage looks good. No spots missed. This is definitely an area you do not want to have to go back into.
Yeah, overlook the slightest little area.
I have this turned down to the lowest setting.
Be sure to give us all the torque specs when you're doing them.
Yeah, it's going to be 9 foot-pounds.
Okay.
So now we're going to go back over to this right-hand side, and I want to put the shift star in. This is the right-hand side stuff where it's going to the shifting, the clutch, and all that, because we're gonna be doing this too. I might as well lay it out, and then I can grab the stuff. Ready, sir?
Oh, I'm rolling, buddy.
Okay.
What are you squirting on it there?
It's brake cleaner. I get it in bulk and put it in that container.
Nice save. Nice.
Comes naturally, if you will. Gonna move this spring-loaded arm down and out of the way. We've got to make sure that notch in there meshes or mates with that pin.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. Because I've had it, not on these, but like on a Honda, that you think you're on that, but you're off just a little bit and you put everything together. And then you're wondering why you're trying to shift it and it's not going into the gear. You feel like you're in, say, second gear, but yet it's like locked up because
right.
It's not. So I want to shift this. I want to make sure I'm in to the clockwise to the right so I can torque this.
What's the setting for that?
22 foot-pounds. You got shift drum, shift star. Okay, so technically this is first gear. Now we're going to click into neutral. Okay. Neutral's good. Now we're going to go to second, third, fourth, fifth. Next, I need to put the paw assembly together. Yamaha, they're flat on all sides. Well, this side's flat, same with that. Some other manufacturers have like notches in them and you have to make sure you're locating them correctly. In this case, no big deal. One side's round. It has to go into that rounded part. Take this. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure that's the way that gets located. Before I do that, this spring needs to go in there. This down in there a little bit. This we have set 7.5 foot-pounds. I put the dowel pin, the other dowel pins in the right-hand cover. Putting the coolant O-ring also for the right-hand cover. I'm getting ready to install the oil pump. I just cleaned off the bolts for that. I'm going to apply some blue Loctite. These are getting torqued to 3.7 foot-pounds. I'm going to apply some assembly lube down into the rotor set. Okay. Get this torque down, and we're going to move over to the shift shaft. 3.6.
Oh, 3.6. That's a very light number.
Yeah.
You're
it's between like 3.6 and 3.7. Yeah, it's very light. I mean, it's one of those things where you could just, snug it up with that T-handle, but for teaching purposes. All right, now onto the shift shaft. I'm going to replace the spring on here.
And that's the actual spring that returns it to the neutral position, the center position, if you will.
Yes. Little spacer that needs to go on. I did check this shift shaft to make sure it wasn't bent when we did the teardown. Okay, we're all locked down there. So now we're going to move on to the crank primary drive gear and the counterbalancer gear. When you buy the OEM full gasket kits from Yamaha, like the top and the bottom, when you get the bottom, they give you all the seals, all these lock washers, collar for all these. It's great. No other manufacturer does that.
And ladies, now you know what gets Mario really excited.
It's like a flat spot. It's hard to see, but that area
for the
there.
gear to line up to.
Yeah. And then the gear has a dot on it. That one doesn't matter. That's what's driving off of the clutch. And this is the counterbalancer. Counterbalancer also has a flat
Yeah, I think you
spot.
just passed it on the top side of that line.
Yeah. Okay, but now I gotta get these dots lined up here. Oh.
But that's ensuring it's in the right spot.
Yes.
It's those dots.
Yeah, everything is
and
indexed.
I can zoom in there and see you've got a dot. Show us with your finger. Yeah.
There's a dot here and a dot there.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to line up, guys.
Okay, this washer's beveled. I know it's kind of hard to see.
Okay.
You want, you know, that
dome on top to keep the pressure down.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing 37 on the counterbalancer.
Show us your little locking mechanism that you use there. And he just sets it in between the gears to keep them from turning.
Yeah. Watching too that the piston is not all twisted up and hitting or gonna hit. Primary drive gear spec is 60.
60 foot-pounds for this. So 37 for that counterbalance, you said?
Yes.
And 60 for this.
We're missing the clutch fiber steels and springs. We can install the basket and the inner hub and get it prepared so that when he comes up to pick the engine up, that's when I'm going to install it. I'll make sure everything lines up here.
So it would appear that you're getting close to wrapping up as far as we can go for this one.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close. So lock tab goes in. We're going to tighten this to 55 foot-pounds. We're going to wrap this up and then hit the Jaeger.
Then hit the Jaeger. Now you're talking. All right. Perked me right up.
That's what I was trying to refrain from.
Yeah, those vice grips we were just talking about, they're not the best design.
Yeah.
Grabbing onto the teeth on the side of this.
Because I do not want to squeeze it very hard. I don't want to damage the inner hub.
It's a cast aluminum piece.
Yeah, it's like I use it, and at times it's
55 pounds. That's all it needs.
I'm going to install the clutch pull arm like so. And that little metal ball. A lot of times that gets stuck in there.
Yeah, I've had that happen to me.
And then you lose it. You know, what, like if you're cleaning or... Okay. So we don't have the clutch, but I am going to put the pressure plate on there with like one spring and screw so that that assembly doesn't fall out.
Right.
Just gonna make marks. Oh, I gotta lock tab that.
Yeah.
And bend that over. And that's exactly like the reason right now.
Yeah, he's just marking everything so you can see he missed this tab right here. He's got to bend that back and then he'll mark it with the marker as a visual that it's been done.
I'm only gonna bend one. You don't need to bend two. Plus, if you, in the future, want to reuse it,
you still have a side.
You still got a side.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good little tip, Mario. I probably would have bent both sides.
I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong. Okay, we already did those two. That in there, that in there. That never touched. Okay. We're going to go back through. Just mark. Put this little keyway in. Goes in like so. And that little tab goes in that slot. Now, I need to put the gear lock on this side again.
Before you torque it down, yeah.
So I'm going up. Thank you for the assistance, sir.
You're welcome. 37.
For the most part, I mean, we're missing like the shoulder here. There's an O-ring in the shoulder, but like that stuff's going to go on the left-hand side. I don't do the left-hand side till the top is on because we have to do the chain, and you know, that stuff.
And all that, yep.
That stuff will get in the way. But as far as right now, I mean, the only thing I see that I didn't install was the oil strainer. That goes in here.
So part 2 coming to an end here. We're looking at top end for part 3, and then it's handed back to Devin.
Yep.
Devin will do the install himself into the frame, into the quad. He's got a race to get to very soon, so we're probably not going to film that part. We're just looking to show a complete engine at the end of this series.
Yes.
All right, so what steps can we expect for part 3?
Okay, so part 3 is going to be cylinder, head, you know, obviously get everything all torqued, cam chain, flywheel, the sprocket collar.
Will you be showing us how to adjust valves or anything like that?
No, we're not going to be adjusting valves. I checked the valve adjustment when we pulled it apart, and it was okay. And because I didn't take the valves out of the head, we don't have to touch anything.
Okay.
In the future, I mean, that's a different deal. But right now, it's going to be cylinder, head, gaskets, obviously, cam chain, drive. And then when he comes to pick it up, we'll probably put the clutch in it. That may or may not get filmed. So, part 3 coming soon. What? Well, I don't know. Carry on. What do you want to do?
Carry on. Until next time, get the fuck out of here.